This evening's Muskogee City Council meeting for September 25th, 2017. The invocation this evening will be by Councilmember Marlon Coleman, and then join us following with the flag salute.
Lord, we thank you so kindly for this night. We pray your blessing, O God, upon us as a council, Lord, that we lead the way by example for our citizens, Lord, as we attempt not only to do municipal business, but to be a beacon light for our community to show that togetherness is the way. Father, bless us, O God, with unity in spirit, purpose, and in mind. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Bob Coburn.
Here.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Here.
Dan Hall.
Here.
Marlon Coleman.
Here.
Janie Boydston.
Here.
Wayne Johnson.
Here.
Patrick Kale.
Here.
Ivory Van.
Here.
Derek Reed.
I move to excuse Derek Reed.
Second.
Yep. Excuse me. The motion is second to excuse Councilman Derek Reed. Any comments? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes. Motion carries. We'll now consider the minutes from the special call meeting on September the 5th and from the regular session meeting on September the 11th. Are there additions or corrections to those minutes? If not, entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any comment or question? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes, motion carries. We will now consider the consent agenda, which is items 1, 2, and 3. Anything anyone would like to move to regular agenda? Entertain a motion for consent.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any question or comment regarding those 3 items? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes, motion carries. Regular agenda item number 4.
Consider approval of ordinance number 4027A, amending the City of Muskogee Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 38, Environment, Article 4, Smoking and Use of Tobacco in Public Places, Section 38-98, Definitions, revising definition of vapor products, providing for repeal or severability, and setting an effective date.
Mr. Tucker.
Mayor, members of council, as I referenced to you in committee, the proposed ordinance makes one modification on the definition of vapor products, particularly the last sentence of the definition, which had previously read under the Food and Drug Administration Act. What we've done here is incorporated a section which articulates the particular chapter of the Food and Drug Administration Act, which is specifically chapter number 5. This change was recommended to us from the Health Department when they looked at our application for the community grant from the TSET funding, and us, along with 11 other cities, had needed modifications from their ordinances. The definition that's proposed is the one that exactly mirrors the definition of vapor in state law. This does not change the intent of the ordinance as it was originally passed in 2015. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, but I recommend approval.
Question or comment from Mr. Tucker?
So move for approval as presented.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any question or comments? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
No.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes, motion carries. Item number 5.
Consider approval of resolution number 2705, creating a buffer zone to limit the number of retailers selling tobacco products within 300 feet of a parcel occupied by a public or private school and/or playground, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Garvin.
Mayor, members of the council, the Muskogee Wellness Initiative, which Roy talked about a little bit on the last item, is requesting approval of a resolution establishing a tobacco retailer buffer zone. The buffer zone would consist of a 300-foot area around any parcel that is occupied by a school or playground. The buffer zone would be measured by a straight line from the nearest point of the property line of the school to the nearest point of the proposed business. If approved, the resolution would authorize the planning director, myself, to consider the compatibility of the proposed use, if it's located within the buffer zone, to a school or playground. Upon review by the planning director, I could have three options. I could approve a request as it was submitted, I could suggest another location for the proposed use, or I could set some conditions to try to mitigate any adverse impact that the sale of tobacco would have within the buffer zone. Any existing business or establishment located within this buffer zone would not have to comply with any of the conditions within this resolution. This is strictly for new businesses locating within that buffer zone. This is a requirement in order to be considered for the TSEC grant that Roy previously talked about under the Healthy Communities Incentive. Be glad to answer any questions.
Mr. Governor, the question I have is, are the existing businesses, are they grandfathered in?
Yes, this is, all existing ones are grandfathered in. This will just be for any new businesses. And I'm actually not aware if there is any actually existing businesses now within 300 feet that sell tobacco products, but they would be grandfathered in.
Okay.
Questions
Move
or
for approval.
comments?
Move for approval.
Got a motion?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other thoughts or comments?
I just want to ask, is this a passive review?
Yeah, yes, and which they need this resolution in order to make application for to receive this funding that they're proposing, and they needed some type of buffer area. And the way we set it up is to actually put all the responsibility on the planning director. But as an example, say there was a business wanting to locate within 300 feet, and it was basically the only location within that area they could go. I might set a condition saying that they cannot advertise any tobacco products where it could be seen from school kids walking in front of the business. Most likely they're going to be able to go within the area, but again, there might be some type of conditions. There's really nothing etched in stone that they can't go there or locate in that area. I think this will satisfy what they need in order to make application for the grant.
Okay, I was only concerned because I don't mind people making application. I do mind when they make application that requires us to change law just for their benefit.
Yes, and it's a very vague resolution.
Okay.
Other comments? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
No.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes, motion carries. Item number 6.
Consider approval of the confirmation of the Board of County Commissioners' appointment of Fred Hogle to the Muskogee City County Trust Port Authority to serve a 4-year term through August 30th, 2021.
Mr. Tucker.
Mayor, members of the council, also this was addressed in committee. We received notification from the Port Authority that the Board of County Commissioners of Muskogee County had made an appointment to the Trust Authority, and that appointment was for Fred Hogle. Pursuant to the trust indenture, the county has 7 appointments to this board. The city has 6. Each of the different agencies, since this is a joint city, county, and trust, has the responsibility to consider confirmation of each other's appointees. So in this instance, the commissioners have appointed Mr. Hogle, and we as the city council and co-trustee have been asked to confirm that. Happy to answer any questions.
Question or comment from Mr. Tucker?
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any question or comment?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, may I be recognized?
Yes.
Yes, on this confirmation here, I, as a city councilman, I disagree. The reason I disagree is because Mr. Hogle, just like I said, the Public Works, all these people on the Port Board, I respect them highly. I know them all. But I disagree with this appointment because Mr. Hogle's been on this board 17 years. You put him on there 4 more, he's going to be on there 21 years. His dad was on there since 1978, and he didn't get off the board until 1991. So he was on there quite a while. And as you look at this list here, and before, I'm going to give you a little brief, quick piece of history. I was wrong the other I missed one the other day. It was a man named Harry Hodges. He was retired from the military. He was a counselor at Manual Training High School. He was on this board in 1985, and he stayed on this board till 1987 to Miss Juanita Adams. She was another black lady, and she was went to Manual. She was I think she was over the cafeteria at Manual. And her husband was the principal of Manual and Muskogee High. Okay, so she retired. I mean, she got sick. So a lady named Stella Derrick, she took the position in 1991 and stayed on this board until 1996. They did not reappoint her, and the person that appointed all of these here was Oval Eaton. He was our ex-mayor. He was a real nice man. But what I have a problem with this is it's no diversity on this board. When last year I had the appointment, I went to the county commissioners. I appointed I appointed Toby Ledbetter to this city board. That was my appointment, okay? So the county commissioners, they've done the same thing. They promised me this time it's gonna be different. They still got people on there, been on there 19, 20 years. I got everything right here, you know? And I think that's wrong to have these people stay on these boards this long and for it not to be any diversity in our city, you know? And like I said, I'm pretty sure y'all didn't know this history, and I didn't either until I looked it up. But it's good to know. Since 1996, there hadn't been an African American until last year, 2016, to be on this Port Authority board. And I went to the meeting last week. I looked around. I said to myself, I just shook my head. I thought we were still back in 1820. Black people represent Muskogee. Indians represent Muskogee. Spanish represent Muskogee. And that's all I'm asking for. I noticed this in my packet here today, which wasn't in there Tuesday. I see a letter from Stephen Wright, the county commissioner, and also from Ed Gage. Ed Gage has been on there since 1995. That's a long time to be on the Port Authority board. But they wrote good recommendations about him, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. But I do have a problem when a person's been on the board as long as Mr. Hogel's been on this board. And also I looked here on this one page, it says that Mr. Hogel, he's the secretary of the Port Authority and is an active member of the Port Authority Budget and Finance Committee. The gentleman that I was going to ask to be on the Port Authority board is a CFO of a company. He's very good at finances. But the port, according to all my records from 1975 that I have here, all the way up to 2017, the county has never appointed a minority on their board, on that Port Authority board. And we as a city, Mr. Orville Eaton was the first one to do it, from my records here, and me. And it's a shame that me as a black citizen here in Muskogee would have to appoint another black person to be on the board. I remember we went on a boat ride out there at the port. I looked around, and I said to myself, you know, we have come a long way. I went on the boat ride, me, my fiance, Toby Ledbetter, and her daughter. And I looked around on that boat. I said, if I hadn't been a city councilor sitting up here, and I hadn't appointed her to that board, it wouldn't have been any black people on that boat. That's a crying shame. And I hope, like I said, like I told you, Public Works, I know y'all gonna vote yes on it, but you do what you want to do. But to me, for this 2017, it's wrong to keep leaving these people on this. I can keep leaving these people on this board. I can understand if the guy that I wanted them to appoint wasn't qualified, but oh boy, he is qualified. He's qualified as Mr. Fred Hogel. But like I said, Mr. Fred Hogel was a good man, and it ain't about that. It's about diversity. And one more thing, and I'm gonna leave it alone. Is in this city right here, we want our young people to stay here. You got young people out here in our audience that came up here tonight to see how we do things up here. I know my children going through this, and they can't get on the board here in Muskogee as a minority. I wouldn't want them to stay here. I want them to move on. Go to some city where they can be accounted for, you know, because everybody on that Port Authority board, they have money, and they can go. I know it's one thing about them, though. They can go at that meeting and anytime they want because they're their own bosses. You got bankers, you got lawyers, you got doctors, you got real estate people. I checked them out good. So they can do what they want to do. But that's my spiel, and I hope the citizens of Muskogee realize this is 2017, and it should be minorities only on this board, particularly on this board. And Mayor, that's all I have to say. But like I say, I just hope in 2018 that I may not be on the council, but I hope somebody up here have enough good gumption, enough good sense to put somebody, a minority, I don't care if it's black, Indian, whatever, Spanish, a person of color on this board. And I'm going to say this, and our county commissioners, I don't care if they're listening or not, they let me down. I thought better of them than that, but they let me down. They really, truly did. So, Mr. Mayor, I'll return this floor back over to you, and thank you, sir.
I've got a question, clarification, if I will. It seems to me that years ago that there were certain boards, the Port Authority, that were appointed only by the mayor. Is that true?
We did for a number of years until,
That was-
what, maybe 3 years ago?
And then, what, 3 years ago, you made the decision to relinquish that?
The decision was made. There was a number of vacancies on boards that we would all have participation in recommending board recommendations.
Okay.
So it's on a rotational basis
And
based on the vacancies.
And there was a committee set up to look at that, and you've got, I think, 3 of the members, well, 2 of the members at least, who were on that committee.
Mr. Johnson was on that?
Yes.
Me and Wayne were on there.
No. Who looked at the ordinance
Leanne.
before it was passed.
And Leanne was on
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
well, I guess, and I'm reassured by this, but the point I want to make is maybe slowly, but hopefully surely, we'll make improvements on that front from the past, because we've got a much more diverse body of recommendations, and hopefully that we can make improvements sooner rather than later. But I thought that a while back it was all pretty well tied up by whomever was mayor.
Okay. Other comments or questions?
Mayor, I always say, I like to say this. I'd like to thank the committee who came up with the councilman doing the appointments. As a matter of fact, I know Councilman Hall over there was very instrumental, and Mr. Johnson was very instrumental, and I forgot the rest of them. But I'm glad we ourselves up here can make appointments, because I guarantee you a lot of these appointments wouldn't be made correctly if we wasn't doing it ourselves. We didn't have to leave it up on the mayor's, which that's a lot of work for you, Mayor. We took a lot of it off of your shoulders.
And I'm pretty much okay with that. We had about 60 vacancies, I want to say. Yeah.
So thank you again, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. So did we vote? We're good to go?
No, well, we need to
We got a
do
motion and a second. We're ready to vote. Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Jim Scully?
Yes.
Janie Boydston?
Yes.
Patrick Kale?
Yes.
Marlon Coleman?
Yes.
Wayne Johnson?
Yes.
Ivory Van?
No.
Mayor Coburn?
Yes.
Dan Hall? Sorry.
Oh, yes.
Sorry.
Motion carries. Item number 7.
Just right over top of them. It's
Consider approval to submit a Tiger Grant application for the Main Street Corridor Project traffic or take other necessary action.
Mr. Riley.
Mayor and members of the council, this is requesting approval to actually submit a Tiger Grant application for the Main Street project. The window this year opened up just recently, and it closes pretty quickly. October 16th, we have to have the application complete and turned in. This will be the Main Street corridor from Denison to Elgin, narrowing it from 4 lanes to 2 lanes for through traffic with a turn lane at the intersections as necessary. We've done the traffic studies that the traffic will flow and function well through that situation, including the growth factors for 30 years, which we have to prove to ODOT that works that way. And we'll be adding bike lanes to connect Elgin to Denison. We have another project where we're going to stripe Denison to have bike lanes on it, so we'll have more of a circulation for bike lanes, and we'll have angle parking, and it's a significant improvement to this corridor. We think it'll make the Tiger stands for Transportation Investment Generating Economic Recovery, so we're going to emphasize the fact that it's going to generate some economic recovery to the downtown and this corridor. And this is simply asking for approval to make the submission next month.
Okay.
Move for approval.
I've got a question, if
I'm
I
sorry.
may. I'm not so sure I'm convinced that this is a good idea, and I'm not convinced that it's a bad idea. At some point, before we pull the trigger, if you will, can we put up cones or barriers or paint lanes, and let's see what happens in real life?
That's a possibility. The only thing we can't simulate is the new traffic signals will be coordinated electronically so that there's a sequencing through there. We can do some adjustments to what's there, but they don't communicate with each other. The new signals will have communication between each other and camera detection, so it can function better. But we can do something to be limited, but we could do something similar to that.
Okay, and I'm going to ask one more question, and I think our assistant manager had been working on this for some time. Mike, could you give me some clarifications? Are we saying that we can't practically pull off a test scenario because we don't have the electronic equipment in place to do what we need to do?
I guess if you don't say anything, you don't have to come to the microphone. You
That's
can
right.
just do this.
I totally agree with Mr. Riley. It's all about traffic signal communication. It's going to take that to get that lane reduction so that traffic will free flow. Greg may be able to set up some test scenarios, but it's all about that traffic communication. It's about tying it into that rail. It's about having additional lights over on Cherokee Street that keeps that traffic flowing. So it's all got to work together, and we have a traffic engineering consultant, TEC, working on that, and they have assured us that it will work. So we want to move forward.
You've been talking to us about this, I want to say, for about 4 years.
We have, and we're hopeful that we'll get this grant, and it'll move right on along, and it'll be a huge game changer.
Well,
we do understand your concerns. That's why we went and had more traffic data pulled.
as I've said before, I trust what staff does and rarely question it, but every now and again when I really are a little confused, I'll look for a little clarification. And I'll just leave it with, I've driven over there and sat in the mornings and at 5 o'clock and at noon, and there's a lot of traffic.
Can I add?
Sure.
We can provide you and show the actual traffic simulation, whereas they generate the cars that are going to be in there, and everything coordinated as it is a computer. You see the cars moving, and that may be a better way to look at it.
I'll come pay you a visit.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't have it right now, but I'll get that for us.
Thank you.
I want to add one more, or let Greg add one more piece. We were also talking about having that communication software where you could actually monitor the signals as in real time, and you could adjust it. So
yeah, there's new companies coming out with traffic signals that actually take the time to watch what's happening. I mean, if we can call them, if
they
they're
count
on
the
contact,
cars.
they can look on the camera and see what's going on right now and make adjustments on the fly. If we got something that pops up, an accident or something, and they can adjust and see as it's going to make things work better.
Well, I've liked what I've seen in the design, and it all seems very exciting. I know that the downtown merchants seem to be excited about it, and I'm excited for them. I just am having trouble wrapping my brain around it, but
I'll get the simulation, and that will show you a lot.
thank you.
Did y'all decide which kind of parking y'all were going to use for Main Street?
We're thinking of regular angle parking.
So you have to pull in and back out and still pull up and back in?
That's our thoughts now.
Which one?
Pull in and back out.
Okay, thank you. You need a second or
We
a
have a motion,
motion?
we don't have a second on that
Second.
item. Motion and a second. Any comments? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Coker.
Yes, motion carries. Item number 8.
Consider approval of amended City Council Policy 3-6-6 Voluntary Separation Plan, or take other necessary action.
Ms. Plunkett.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. A few weeks to a month or so ago, we had passed the voluntary separation plan for general employees. This is a modification to the plan to allow it to happen again. Hopefully, we'll get some more participants this time. The dates of participation for employees is October the 2nd through October the 13th, with the separation date from the city being November 3rd. Same provisions as the old policy, just another opportunity for employees to participate, and I recommend approval. Happy to answer any questions.
I have a question, Ms. Plunkett and Mr. Manager. Would it cause any difficulty if that window of opportunity was bigger?
No, we could make that window larger.
I'm just curious.
We want to give enough time to explain it to the employees. We want to give enough time for employees to participate, and then we want to give enough time to be able to have a transition period if need be for those positions that we do replace.
Okay, because I was just thinking, rather than have you come back and back and back, if we test piloted or did something on a 3-month basis or something like that, to give a larger period of time and more opportunity for employees to think through the process and give you guys a bigger window as well to work through whatever.
I'm hopeful after this evening we will not have to come back again.
Okay.
I agree. I think this is a good solution. I don't think we'll have to do it again this year.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Other comments or questions? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item number 9.
Consider approval to serve as a primary partner to the Muskogee Area Arts Council in accordance with an application to be submitted for an Our Town grant offered through the National Endowment for the Arts, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Tucker again.
Mayor, members of the council, the Muskogee Area Arts Council has found an application or found a grant that's available that they'd like to apply for with the National Endowment for the Arts. Part of the, and this is for a downtown art installation project. It would be for 3 total murals, 2 of which would be surrounding the Hunts Green space, with the 3rd being on the western wall of the Muskogee County Jail. As part of the grant application, they are required to have a local government entity serve as a primary partner. So they have asked us. Mr. Stewart and I and Mr. Riley have gone to a number of the preliminary planning meetings that they have attended. And the idea is that this project will support what the downtown plan, which incorporated public art aspects, included. So this will further that plan, be within the I think it's called the Landscape of Hope. So this project would support that and try to further that to make this area one that is not only economically viable but is aesthetically pleasing as well. So their hope, this is the first time they've applied for a National Endowment for the Arts grant, so we're hopeful that even if we don't get it, we'll at least put our name out there. And so with that, we have been requested to serve as a primary partner for purposes of that application. I do recommend approval, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Are there comments or discussion of any kind? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes, motion carries. We now are at the point of the meeting where we ask citizen input. 2 people have signed up to speak. Stephen Ezell, if you would approach the microphone, give us your street address, please, and you will have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Stephen Ezell, 6121 South 6th Street East, Muskogee, Oklahoma. I'm actually here tonight to inform this council and the citizens of this community of a community outreach opportunity that my church, Emmanuel Baptist Church, which is located at 711 Spalding Street, will be putting on October the 21st this year from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. We are conducting a community block party and free sale at our church that day. What's going to be done is we're going to have inflatables there for the kids. We're going to have hot dogs, snow cones, chips, drinks. We will also have people there to help share the good news that there is hope that is beyond the situations that many may be in. I've also arranged it for it that the Muskogee Fire Department will be there, Muskogee County EMS, Muskogee Police Department. I'm also going to try to get Muskogee CAN there to help pass out literature, to help outreach to the community, pass some stuff out to the kids, to show that we as a community, we do care about the situations that people are enduring. And I would like to encourage members of this council, especially our Ward 2 council members, who are, of course, Dan Hall, James Gully, and basically anyone who's on this council, to come out and see what we're about. And we've been doing this for the past several years, and we've had some good success with it. So again, that is a reminder: Emmanuel Baptist Church, 711 Spalding Street, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., October 21st, 2017, which is on a Saturday. And we'd like to see you out there. We'd like to see anyone out there.
Thank you, sir. Shirley Rainier, you had signed up to speak. If you would give us your name and your address when you get to the microphone.
When I get here.
And you will have 3 minutes.
Mayor and council, my name is Shirley Reiner. I live at 621 North F Street in the city. My concern today, I'm so happy to be here because Ivory Van addressed my concerns, and that is inequality, diversity. The only thing that he didn't address was women. Are there any women on boards? Are there any women? There's a woman on the council. And so the concern of my organization, which is the Democratic Women's Association of Muskogee County, is we do not see enough women running for office or being appointed to boards. That even holds for the school board, where it's most important that women be at least 50%. I'm sorry, they're 50% of the parents. They should have 50% of the responsibility for being on the boards. I know that's difficult because most women are living 2 lives, and I know it's difficult to run for office because it's not fun. Okay. No one wants to be beat up, that's for sure. But I think Ms. Boydston will at some point be leaving the board, and I'm requesting, okay, that perhaps the board and the city could consider actively recruiting and seeking women to run, seeking women to serve on boards. I guess I don't care what color they are. I think if they're women and if they're qualified, I would like to see that we encourage them to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. That takes care of that portion of our agenda. We are now ready for items 10A and B.
Consider an executive session to discuss and take possible action on the following. A, pursuant to Section 307B4, Title 25 Oklahoma statutes, consider convening an executive session to discuss the workers' compensation claim of Larry Fennell, and if necessary, take appropriate action in open session. B, pursuant to Section 307B2, Title 25 Oklahoma statutes, consider convening an executive session to discuss negotiations with the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, Local 2465, and if necessary, take appropriate action in open session.
We'll now consider the executive session, if that is your pleasure.
I move we go into executive session.
Second.
With motion and a second, any comment or question? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes, the motion carries. We'll now reconvene from executive session. Roll call, please.
Mayor Bob Coburn.
Here.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Here.
Dan Hall.
Here.
Marlon Coleman.
Here.
Janie Boydston.
Here.
Wayne Johnson.
Here.
Patrick Kale.
Here.
Ivory Van.
Here.
Jared Creed.
Mr. Tucker.
Item number 10A, pursuant to Section 307B4, Title 25 Oklahoma statutes, the City Council did convene an executive session to discuss the workers' compensation claim of Larry Fennell. After being fully briefed to the status of that claim, I believe an appropriate motion would be to authorize the city attorney to settle the workers' compensation claim of Mr. Fennell for the amount of $5,652.50.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comment or question? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes, motion carries. Item 10B.
Pursuant to Section 307B2, Title 25 Oklahoma statutes, the council did convene an executive session to discuss negotiations with the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees Local Number 2465. After being fully briefed on the status of those ongoing negotiations, I believe it is appropriate at this time for a motion to be made to accept an MOU, memorandum of understanding between the City of Muskogee and the American Federation of State, County, Municipal Employees related to the voluntary separation plan for AFSCME covered members.
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second again. Any comment or question? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes, motion carries, and that concludes our agenda.